As live on custom live stream. You were live.
You better have a custom made situation.
Listen, we're trying out here to have a custom something. Hey, Jerrica, how's it going?
Ciao. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It says we're live in all the places. I'm going to confirm right now that we are.
All right, you
Happy
better check and make
Wednesday to
sure.
you, and happy Wednesday to everybody who is watching all over. Yep, we're live. We're live on Facebook.
Wednesday
We're
on
live
Facebook.
on we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Periscope and Twitter, and we're also, I could see us your beautiful faces over on lovecityarts.org as well. Yeah.
Beautiful.
How you doing, friend?
I'm great, friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. If you all are watching and you can hear us just fine, just give us a little bit of a shout. I'm gonna go on the back end into my little stream portal here and see what I can see in the ways of everybody chiming in and chatting,
Yes.
so that I can communicate those. Here we are. Oh, 4 viewers already. Let us know who you are. We can't see you unless you give us a little shout. So,
Love a
anyway,
shout out.
a nice little shout. Oh, David Kwong Pham says all ears. How are we sounding out there, David Kwong Pham? Give me some peace, because we've been having
Good.
some issues over the last couple weeks, but here we are. We are joined this week by the wonderful and beautiful Jerrica. How's it going?
Man, it's been a week. It's actually flying, though. I'm really grateful for that. I know sometimes I get a little antsy with the work week. Like, and how can we
Mm-hmm.
get to the end of it? But the pace is good. The pace is good this week.
The pace is good. The pace is good. Well, the thing that I always invite people to do, this is like our third week of the third season of Love City Live, The Good Report. And the thing that I forgot to bring from the old version into this version was the fact that we usually at the top of every episode, to kind of ground ourselves, we just breathe for a little bit together. Would you be open to that?
I would love that. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So we're just going to. Hmm.
So let me just go ahead and get myself grounded, child.
Okay. We're gonna put our feet flat on the ground, the floor, the bed, whatever is your nearest grounding thing, and we're just gonna start breathing together and kind of anchoring ourselves in what will be a present moment like nothing else that we've ever experienced. Jerrica's here, I'm here, you're here. David says we've got good decibels going out into the world with our love stream right now.
We love
So
that.
what more do we need?
Nothing.
Jerrica, me, some good jams and some good decibels.
Get some good decibels.
Take I love it. Take a breath, everybody. 5 minutes past the top of the hour. We'll never be in this 5-minute marker past the top of the hour ever again. It's a very special moment because we have each other. And the reason why the Good Report was created was to have a spot where we could consistently be together and not gather in a mode of sadness or heaviness, but gather in a mode of upliftment, if that's a word that I can make up on the fly. So here we are at 6 minutes now past the top of the hour, and I'm inviting everyone who's gathered, even if you only stay for a moment, just take this moment to breathe. The biggest breath that you've breathed all day. Let's just go. Here we go. Yeah. And in some traditions, they say that right there was the meditation. That was the moment of clarity right there, that one breath that we took. I come from traditions, Jerrica, that ask me to save people's soul and to set them free from this and that. And I want folks to know that this next hour and a half ain't got shit to do with that.
Period. Period.
It's a new opportunity for us.
Yeah.
It's a new opportunity for us to choose how we want to engage our joy and how we want our joy to be made full. Anyway, I'm gonna stop babbling at 7 minutes past the top of the hour. One thing I may do is reach over here and grab an angel card
Okay. Yeah.
that will lead my first question about you and for you.
Beautiful.
And so we're leaving on a midnight train to Georgia. All right, so I'm gonna let you tell me when to stop. Thanks everybody watching over on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Let us know who you are and where you're watching from, and we'll be sure to incorporate any questions or ideas you may have into tonight's good report. I'm shuffling the original angel card deck to see how we're going to kick off with the beautiful and talented Jerrica White, author of Rape Game, the play, listener and space holder extraordinaire, and so many other things that go behind that I am that was on your Instagram. Even the picture that I put up today for promo, even that has a story in it that so many people have been intrigued to hear.
Yeah.
Just let me know when.
Win. Go ahead.
Ooh, okay. Ooh, that's exciting because, oh, wow. Okay. We weren't allowed to do none of this growing up in my house.
Oh.
If you had picked any card that wasn't a Bible card with a Bible verse on it, do you know?
What are cards? What are
What did you
cards?
say?
I didn't grow up with any board games or cards or anything.
There, no board games. No, not allowed in my mama's house. But anyway, the card that we pulled tonight is enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. I love that. Yeah.
Enthusiasm. Hey, Jeff Carley, all air horns. I love it. I love it. Tonight's word is enthusiasm. Let's see here. Be present with zestful alertness. Loosen your constraints and let your passion for life uplift others and generate new opportunities. Enthusiasm. Be present with zestful alertness. Loosen your constraints and let your passion for life uplift others and generate new opportunities.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you want to riff for a little bit as we open about what enthusiasm means to you, Jerrica?
Yeah. I think enthusiasm, my favorite part of that was uplift others. And I know on my own just journey to wholeness, journey to freedom, it's been quite easy for me to uplift others. And I think the real work is what it looks like to uplift yourself. And I love again that the word is enthusiasm. And I've been pondering a lot on what does it mean to be enthusiastic about my day to day? What does it mean to be enthusiastic about my purpose, the things that I like to do, the things that I want to do? So I'm touched that's the word. I think it's so beautiful, and that's so exactly where I am in life right now.
I love it. I can tell that you bring an enthusiasm to everything that you touch and everything that you want to engage. Tell me about your playwriting, because I mean, we're here. The way that I envision this, everyone who's watching right now over on Facebook and YouTube, hey Jeff, hey David, good to see y'all tonight. We're all just gathered around this well, in the center of Love City, and we're just chatting about life. We're chatting about enthusiasm. We're chatting about the things that make us come alive. We're thinking about we're chatting about the things that suck sometimes. The reason why you and I are connected and what brings us here is that I cast a large net for playwrights all over the world, and you were one of the ones that resonated. Tell everyone a little bit about your play and your playwriting and how that all brings us together.
Sure. So the play that you're referring to is called Rape Game, and it is my personal story wrapped into a play of what it's like to deal with sexual assault and to move forward in dating and figuring out how to love, although there's this part of yourself that you don't know how to love or you don't know how to express yourself in. And I think my favorite part of it is also just dealing with, all right, this happened and this is an event that happened to me and that was part of my life, but also what is the lens in which I am thinking about that experience. So I have characters in there called Black Church, Black Twitter, Black Man, White Church, Spiritual Advisor, on top of the two main characters that the story is following. And those characters are really a representative of the main character's subconscious and people who made her who she is. And woo, I think something that I didn't realize when it came to me writing the play was how healing it was going to be for me and how much it was really going to expose to me about that event in my life. I've been sharing with close friends that I didn't even tell my family about this. As I was sexually assaulted in college, I didn't tell my family about it. I had to tell them because I was promoting the play and I didn't want anybody to get a screenshot like, sis, now what is this? So in writing the play, it's been the best gift that I could have given myself. And in turn, I hope that it's a gift that's well received as I give it to the world. And I guess to talk about like my process in playwriting and how I wrote that, I'll start with I am a poet. So I didn't really know how to approach playwriting. I've loved theater for a very long time. It's always been my favorite method of telling a story. There's nothing like being in a room with people, in the live aspect of that and breathing with the people who are on stage and the people who are sitting next to you and the people who are, behind the scenes and the people who are working at the concessions. There's nothing like that. So I've always been a huge fan. I moved to New York 5 years ago and was doing everything but writing, even though I came here to write. I guess when I first got here, I was doing theater reviews and writing about like the black theater scene here, which was incredible. And then I did a bit of producing and I still like to do that to this day. But I had a moment maybe about a year ago or a year and some change ago where I really was like, Jerrica, now you moved to New York to write, specifically plays and musicals. What are you doing, sis? So had to get myself together. I had always looked at different deadlines for writing related opportunities over the years and kind of just noted them like, well, missed that one. Guess it's not meant to be this year. And last year around this time is when I started writing this play because I had checked again to see when some deadlines were. It's like, you know what, sis, you don't have a play. You don't even have a full length, really anything written, but you're going to do it this year. And when I sat there and made that contract with myself to just honor myself in the things that I said that I wanted to do, I locked myself. Go ahead.
No, I just want to anchor that moment. Honor myself with the things I said I wanted to do.
Yeah.
For me, that's a bing. We can come back and talk about it, but like, because how many times do we honor the things that we say we're gonna do, and then how many times do we not? And what are the pros and cons of taking those directions?
Oh, sheesh. Yeah, that is a question 100% that I would love to dig into. Yes. Because it's big and it's huge. And I spend a lot of time thinking about that. But yeah, I said it's time to honor myself. And I don't know what I'm going to write. I had started writing a pilot, but that didn't feel right to try to transform that into a play. And it just clicked. Like, you need to just write your story. And it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be hard, but you can do it. So I did it. And I met you after I started submitting at different places. And here we are now. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so can you talk? Stephen Pressfield, talks about the resistance, like the things that, like that wall of things that you press against when you're trying to get to an actual like published play, like what you have, or a finished play, or play ready for production. There's so many things that come against you, even like mental, if not physical. Can you talk to the artists that are listening a little bit, or a creative that's listening, about some of the challenges that you had?
Sure. Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges I had was separating myself and my experience from myself as the writer. So, as everybody who's an artist can understand, I'm an artist, I'm sensitive about my shit. And at
Come
some
on,
point,
Erica.
I had to just, Erica, we love her. At some point, or at many points, I really had to sit down and just allow myself to show up in the room only as a writer and not as the person who experienced everything that was written in that play, to be able to listen.
I mean, because I could imagine, because it's a traumatic situation that happened to you.
Yeah.
Having to show up and actually put your traumatic experience into paper every day has got to be some type of emotional labor that I probably can't even describe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So very hard to separate the two, but I just got to a point where I knew that I wanted to see the play grow, and I wanted to see it be the best version that it could be. So that was one major barrier that I had to get over. And I would say another that's really closely related to that is just being vulnerable. I think being vulnerable is something that I've worked really hard to do in just my personal life. But when it comes to, okay, you wrote a play, however you would like to see it produced, that's a very collaborative process. So just being able to be in rooms with other writers or actors or friends that I would bring in different iterations of this workshopping process, and be able to answer the questions, whether it was the personal question or it was a question on, well, what did that mean, sis? Is that serving the story well? And not taking it personal, and understanding that everybody that's there has a beautiful point of view and there's something that I can learn from it, and to be okay with being in process. I think another thing that I can say about resistance is just understanding that that's a natural part of the process, whether that's things that are holding you back internally, or if it's external forces that feel like you are not getting into whatever residency you want to be in, or these theaters aren't calling you back, or school has rejected you. Those are all things that I've dealt with for sure. And understanding you can't allow somebody to dictate whether your story deserves to be told or not. You just need to tell the story and do your best to tell it, and do your best to develop it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the idea that you're talking about, of understanding that you're on the way to where you're going. You're not there yet. You're in process, and you've allowed yourself to kind of have that process. People who are watching and listening right now, I want to invite you to drop a question. If you have any author related questions or good people related questions, I want to invite you to drop them into the chat for our guest tonight, Jerrica White. Please give everyone your Instagram handle right now.
Sure. So it's at Overzealous, but it's not spelled in the way that you would think it's spelled. It is OVRZLOUS.
Cool. And Jerrica, where are you originally from in the world?
Yes, I love this question. So I am from Cincinnati, Ohio. I will rep it until I know it. Okay. But
Is that
yeah,
a thing that is that a thing that happens with people from Ohio?
no,
Viewers,
it's actually
viewers and listeners, where are you watching and listening from tonight? Drop that into the comments so that we can keep the conversation going with everyone. But this one over here is very excited about
I
being from
am.
Cincinnati.
I am.
Why?
Yeah. So my excitement comes from a place of growing up and not really being excited about Cincinnati. And I remember telling my parents one time and just being like, well, I don't understand why anybody would come visit here. Like I don't know what's going on. So it comes from a place of just being unapologetically proud of where I'm from. No matter if
We got one person saying they're from Michigan. David's from Michigan. I want to dial even a little deeper into this. Tell me about what was. I mean, I walk around my neighborhood and the kids are playing and learning to ride their bikes on like concrete sidewalks. I
yeah,
learned in grass or dirt and then eventually the road.
yeah.
Tell me about like childhood Jerrica and what were the streets of Cincinnati, Ohio like?
Okay, well, childhood Jerrica was a nerd. She was always about a book. Like that was my favorite hobby, reading. I grew up with two younger brothers, so there definitely was a part of me that loved to play. It started off as like, oh, we're gonna play video games, and went into, oh, okay, well, you play baseball and you swim, so I'm going to do those things with you at home in our backyard. So um, yeah, the streets of Cincinnati treated me well. I would say the library of Cincinnati treated me well, more so
Give it
than
up for libraries, yes.
yes.
I know we've got some other library kids. Kimberly Cousins Jones is on right now from Richmond, Virginia, which is my hometown, and I know that she's a nurse, and so she's been under the books and over the books. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for all that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So where do you see your artistry moving, especially through this wild and crazy time called COVID? Like, because I mean, none of us saw this coming.
Yeah.
No one saw this coming. So, how has, I guess, two parts, heavy bit of a heavy question. How has COVID changed you?
Mhm.
Is the first part, and then how has COVID changed your art? And then we have a question teed up right here that we'll come to. Thank you so much for watching, Kimberly, David, Jeff, and Stacia. Stacia has a question about good habits. Um, and Stacey's also in DC. Thank you for watching from DC tonight. The Good Report. It's
Yeah.
fun, right? Okay, so how did COVID knock you around, or did it knock you around at all?
Absolutely.
And the reason why I asked this for everyone that's listening, the people that are going to listen to the replays of the podcast, I asked this because I believe that everyone's narrative is special in this, and I believe that how you're walking through it could perhaps have deep resonance with someone else who may find camaraderie in you, or maybe something that they never thought about that's close enough to your journey. All right, go for it.
Sure. So COVID changed me, and then in the way where it made me focus on myself. Like I mentioned earlier, I love to be there for everybody, and Jerrica will be right on the bottom of that list. So I had no choice but to sit down, listen, and center myself. I dealt with a lot of disappointment in COVID. Right, I guess when things started shutting down, I remember posting something like 12 days until rape game. And I just was so excited, and, had a full team ready to go to get that up and running, and a cast ready to start rehearsals. And I was just really ready to do that project. And I think the blessing in seeing it be paused, postponed, and all of the things is that I really got to sit with it in a way that was really personal to me. So all of the themes that are in it, like the intersection of faith and how you feel about sex, or just the fact that I was dealing with okay, wait a second, you've never really fully unpacked your experience with sexual assault. I tie the play a lot to just healing and emotional wellness. And I really had to sit here and say, well, where are you at with all of these things? You can speak really well to like the influences in your life, and you can speak really well to, you know, the snapshot of your life that you're showing in this play, but where are you at currently? And I thank God for therapy because my therapist and I, Dana, shout out to you. We had many conversations that I don't think I would have been able to process if I was directing in the middle of rehearsal, trying to be present and enjoying like, oh, a draft of my play is, you know, living its best life or whatever. It made me focus on myself in a way where I'm really proud, because I know that the play itself is heavy, and everything that I want to do around the play, I want other people to achieve freedom, and I can't help other people achieve freedom and unlock themselves to be free if I'm not free. So I took the time to make sure that I'm free, and you know, in this season.
Can we talk briefly about, and Stacia, I see your question. I promise you I'll come back to it. But you just surfaced two things that I think are really, really powerful. The concept of emotional wellness.
Yeah.
And then you said pretty much like you use that amongst other things as a pathway to freedom. Can we stay there for a couple of seconds?
Yeah.
Because I know that there are a lot of people right now, myself included, that are going through that push and pull of what it means to be, you know, some days like on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I feel very heels are alive at the sound of music, kind of free.
Yeah.
And then on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, sometimes I feel very, very like trapped inside myself and inside this thing we call COVID.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to acknowledge that those things sometimes exist like in parallel, like inside ourselves. And I don't know if anybody else can also resonate with this. Stacia says, "Love them books." You know, I don't know if anybody else resonates with the fact that like it's both beautiful and terror at the same time. Like I just finished watching this Netflix special about pandemics that got me thinking about the fact that we're in one right now that drove me bonkers, while simultaneously someone can bring like dinners, like not just like made food, but also like the preparations for dinner to my house. So I'm living in this like George Jetson, like Alexa, call the, and I probably shouldn't say that right now because I'm in the studio, but you know, such and such, call and bring me dinner to make.
Yeah.
And it just 2 hours later just comes to the front door. That's like a privilege and like some like other world shit, right?
Yeah.
While we're also scared about the survival of us.
Yes. Us as, you know, a whole, and us specifically as Black men and women. Yeah, it's I think that's one of the most beautiful things about life. That's the thing that makes it bearable, is that you may have something that brings you incredible joy, at the same time something that is extremely hard. And those things go hand in hand, and they go in balance. And of course, there are seasons when everything is great, and there are seasons when everything is shit, you know? But I think that's why community is so important, because you come across different people who are on maybe a similar path as you, or a completely different path, but we need other people to be able to buoy us up and be able to relate and tell you, you know, your feelings are valid and your experience is valid. And yes, I'm going through this too. Yes, I'm experiencing this as well. And be able to uplift.
Stacia says energy seasons. Can you talk about what the term energy seasons means to you?
To me?
Yes, to you.
I am not familiar with the term energy seasons, but I would love to know.
Stacia, what do you mean when you say energy seasons? Feel free to drop that into the chat.
But if she has a very specific definition.
I was gonna put you out on the edge and just say, like, if you heard the term energy seasons,
Yeah.
what would it mean to you?
It would mean to me that your energy might be different in different seasons based on what is going on in that season. And that's totally fair. My energy is, thank God I know how to get it to where I want it to be. But realistically, it can be in many different places in a day. So I think that for me, it's really important to understand, well, what can I do to get me back to that place of being grounded? And to me, that's meditation, that's prayer, that's checking in with good friends, that's making sure I ate today, which I don't always do.
Station made it up as well. Station made it up.
And I'm here for it, okay?
I've been thinking about energy changes as like seasons. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's something important. And I mean, I guess the way we can kind of spin this for something good is that, I mean, being mindful of where you are in your energetic season is important. Like, I try to not shit on people when I'm having like a really, really bad day. If you've not heard from me in 3 or 4 days, sometimes it's because I've kind of like sunk into myself and I'm just not spreading my greed, hatred, anger, and delusion out into the whole world. I'm kind of just letting it be. And the Buddha cautions us very, very clearly about kind of making sure that you have good speech, good thought, and good action. And sometimes I'm not talking to the people that are closest to me because I'm trying not to be a bitch. Like if all I got is shit to say about another human being who's lovable and deserves love like I do, maybe I shouldn't be so gossipy with the people that love me that I automatically know are going to take my side.
Yeah.
Maybe I could just keep that to myself to not create more tension and emotional violence in the world. Stacia says the metaphor reminds me that emotions aren't facts and change in patterns. Some days feel like emotional winter and others feel like emotional spring. What would you say to that?
Yeah. I mean, it's good to be able to chart those things and understand, ooh, this feels like summer, this feels like spring, but what season is it actually? And be able to get yourself back to that place of like, all right, my feelings may be saying one thing, but I can just as easily dismantle that thought to get me to a place where I am okay no matter what. And I'm not sitting here to say that in a way where it's like, oh, it's just that easy. But it's a practice. Like wholeness and wellness is a practice. And I love to say practice because it reminds me that it's okay if I'm not able to get myself back centered quickly today.
It's okay. It's okay if it's okay if I am not able to get myself back centered today. It's okay.
Yeah, it is.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Sometimes it's important to just remind ourselves that we're all doing the very best that we can.
Yeah.
A lot of us aspire to do a little better, today than we did yesterday, but at the end of the day, like, especially if you're a person who's trying to put good in the world and just do, good in the world and share stories for the purpose of giving freedom to people. If you're that kind of person, it would serve you to just be gentle,
Absolutely.
um, because life is already so cruel in so many ways. To pivot just for a moment, Jerrica, with your permission,
Yeah.
there are people in detention centers at our borders who are having coerced, forced surgeries on their body temple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brown people.
Heartbreaking. Yeah.
Say that again.
I said, and that is heartbreaking.
Absolutely heartbreaking. And I think that it's one of those things where we ground ourselves so that we can actually look those things right in the face. Coming full circle, like we don't hold these emotional grounded moments just to be at peace within ourselves as the whole world like goes to shit.
Yeah.
we use those moments, if Stacey's calling it an emotional winter, how do we use, those cold sensations to kind of wake us up to the fact that, like, hey, there's more work to be done. I'm
Absolutely.
making sense, or am I off in the bushes? Y'all can let me know in the comments. Jerrica, please pull me back from the fire if I go too far to the edge. But I'm trying to really figure out what happens when we, you're saying that, like, we don't take this for granted. Like, we've come through the battle to be able to sit in peace. Like, when I'm sitting in Om Namaste, Om Shanti Om,
Yeah.
that's with like my eyeball hanging down here some days, the battle scars can be very real, but once we get there, what do you think all of this emotional wellness and freedom compels us to do?
Yeah, I think one thing I am constantly reminding myself is that we are better together. So I think kind of what you're saying, or what I'm hearing from you is, how do we live past ourselves? How do we take the freedom that we work so hard for and push that up into the collective? And I think that that's really important. And I think that we all have incredible gifts. We have different strengths, and we get to work with each other to fight things like systemic racism, to combat all of these horrible things that are going on with ICE right now. I think a conversation I really like to have is around what it means to be an activist, or what it means to really firmly stand in your feet and on this earth, and like do what you are meant to do on this earth. And I think it's really important to remember that we work together, and that it looks different for every single person. So some of us need more time to fight to find the peace within ourselves, so then we can show up to be a beautiful part of, humanity altogether. And that is okay. No matter how long it takes you to get that fight is worth it, and you need to do that. And then when we are able to achieve that, and it's not to say that we achieve it for 5 years and we are just, serving the world. Sometimes we've achieved it for one day, and then we're able to serve the world. And sometimes serving the world looks like having a conversation with another person. Sometimes it looks like flying across the country to show up and do something. Sometimes it looks like writing a letter to your elected official. Sometimes it looks like an Instagram post. Sometimes it looks like a beautiful photo shoot. It looks different.
I want to toss this to the viewers, 9 beautiful Love City viewers all over the country and world, perhaps. What makes you come alive with activism? Where are you engaging activism? What does activism look like for you? One thing I discovered, because there's pictures all over the internet of me doing this, when I was out there in the streets kind of yelling, what do we want? Justice. What do we want it now? When I was out there doing all of that, it was so emotionally draining on me, because I think that some people naturally want to um, uh, protest and fight and pull down systems in that way. And I believe that that is a very, very specific ministry. And that those who want to be out in the streets, there's going to be plenty of time for that. We got another 4 years of shenanigans, no matter how this dice is. If he's out of here, then he's still going to fight us. If he stays, he's going to fight us.
Yeah.
So I need people really kind of getting themselves into a space of recognizing that this is going to be a bit of a 4-year trajectory, if not longer, of us needing to be able to ground ourselves. And my point is, I could not continually be out in the streets for the sake of my blood pressure and maybe throwing like a couple rocks at some cops. So I've decided to use platforms like this and my organization to create moments of healing and activism and loving protest on the platforms that keep us safe and healthy, and also replenishing ourselves.
Yeah.
Stacia says, I'm really glad y'all brought up the activism can have different lanes.
Absolutely.
How are you engaging activism these days, Jerrica?
Yes. So, like you, I enjoy creating a space where people can kind of break down that very question. And I've been talking to a lot of my sorority sisters or coworkers who, or just friends who feel helpless and don't really know what to do. And like you, do not feel like their ministry is being in the street, or maybe the traditional definition of what people think activism is, and sitting there and listening and then encouraging, like, hey, did you know that you have these gifts? And did you know that they are extremely helpful, and that you are adding to the conversation? You are adding to change in whatever way you do that. So I feel like a lot of what I do is I love organizing. I've done a lot to work with my 9 to 5, but then I like energizing. So I love just getting to talk to people, giving them ideas to move forward in whatever way in their own life they need to move forward. And then I'm a writer, so I use my voice in a written format to help.
I love it. Stacia says, Stacia echoes, for me, it looks like organizing communities around environmental justice, but focused on land stewardship, also tending relationships among marginalized beloveds and offering support, emotional and material. I can co-sign that Stacia does those things. Any echo from you? Stasia's a gift. I can't wait for y'all to cross paths in the Love City ecosystem. As I call you into the playwrights wing of it, she's working strategy. She, her, they, them pronouns are working strategy for us to kind of spread this message that I fundamentally, and I'm going to lose probably all of the viewers right now by going on a love tirade, but as long as I got Jerrica, I don't need nobody else. I have this sneaky suspicion that if we join forces, if we drop the petty and if we drop the bullshit and we just meet together on Wednesday evenings to form bonds of love and appreciation, where I see how that suit just hangs ever so gently off of your shoulder, so casual, like, you know, in that love flow, just to behold you and to set you on platform in front of the world, beautiful Black woman. I feel like that's the work. I feel like it's equally as important work as walking in the street for 8 hours. Stacia says, educating white people I encounter on systemic racism as part of their active. Oh, no, that's not Stacia anymore. This is cousin Matthew, Matthew Vincent Schrank. He says he's one of our white comrades in this fight, abolitionists, s'il vous plaît, on this path to Black liberation, educating white people I encounter on systemic racism through conversations and social media. And then Kimberly, I guess, is saying, lay it on me. I love, 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 love. Yeah. There's this tribe building that where we're able to cape for Black liberation, and we're able to be creative and come back to our lovable, I don't know what age. What age was the age for you, Jerrica, where you were told to get serious and to stop playing so much with your life? They say that children like giggle like 300 times a day, and like adults like giggle like 10 to 100 times. When was the last time you giggled 300 times a day?
300 times. Wow. I cannot tell you about 300 times, but I will tell you I make it a priority to laugh every day. But to answer your question,
No, that's fine. Stay there. That's fine. I'm with you. How are you laughing every day? Are you laughing at people? Are you laughing about people? Are you?
Oh, I laugh at myself too. I think that's the best thing. Like, never take yourself too seriously. And that's something I've had to like break free from. I'm an oldest child, and I don't think it was ever told to me that I had to be serious.
Me too.
But it definitely happened probably a lot earlier than it should have. So
how many younger siblings, Jerrica?
I have two younger siblings.
Me too. We've connected about this before, the 2 younger siblings. Maybe it's not something that's communicated. Maybe you just or maybe, you see this baby come behind you and you're like, oh, now we caretake as a family. And you kind of, any other only children listening or watching tonight out there? Or if you're not an only child, let me know what your birth order is so I can make fun of you. You forgotten middle children and you sniveling youngest children. You spoiled brats, you. How about that for I just throw grenades sometimes. I just throw grenades on purpose.
There is a place for everybody in the family. I think it's totally cool. But you were asked, how do I laugh outside of laughing at myself? Yeah, I mean, she loves a meme. She loves a video. I personally am obsessed with Not Carlton Banks. He has a very specific church humor that I just understand very well.
Love him. Love him. He got into trouble. He got into trouble recently for that video depicting the person in the congregation that was meant.
You know what? And I knew he was going to.
Like, well, we knew. I mean, comedians kind of step on that line. For those of you who are listening in replay, and for those of you watching live, we're talking about a comedian called Not Carlton Banks. You can find him, I believe those are his pronouns, on anything on social media, and he has these little skits that he does that are different tropes and archetypes of people who are classically found in the African American Black church. Hilarious.
Like, I am weak every day. I love Lily. Bun, Sis Bun is my favorite though.
Yes. I love it. I've not tracked the characters. I know they all have distinct, like, I know Bun has a bun. I know that they all have, like, whenever I watch it in passing, I'm always like doubled over because I have a friend group that just leaves memes and moments of Black joy on my doorstep all the time. We actually should start that. We should start like a group chat. Well, I'll probably mute it, but we should start like something that's like a dedicated space for Black joy.
Beautiful.
Is there something, like, y'all let me know in the comments if there's a space that's dedicated to Black memes and Black joy that I'm just not finding. Maybe that's what Black Twitter is. Matt Vincent Shrinks says, I'm the youngest of two. Kimberly Cousins Jones says eldest. Stacia says oldest. Kimberly says, only girl. I'm the matriarch. So the oldest and the only girl, which kind of, I think we discredit how these birth orders, like the way we're socialized, has a lot to do with who we are in the world and a lot of our pain points out in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, thank you all for sharing your birth order.
Yeah. Stacia says out loud, I'll probably mute it. You know what, Stacia? I think that idea went up as quickly. I mean, it went down as quickly as it went up because Jerrica was like, I'm not going to be on there. That's what her energy said. And then Stacia says, I'll probably mute it. So just get your own. Listen, get your own damn memes where you get your memes. That's your business.
Come on, that's your business.
I love it. I love it. So where do you see things emerging for you as we progress through COVID? I know for us who work in musical theater spaces and Broadway adjacent spaces, like, we're not going to be on anyone's stage because of the liability of someone getting sneezed on or coughed on the wrong way and then suing the Netherlander organization or the Schubert Foundation or organization. So we're not going to be on stage anytime soon in those spaces that we adore. I'm making peace with that by creating art in this way. And shout out to all of the artists that are watching. If you want to come on here and chop it up with us 1 week, the View style, you're more than welcome to join. We'll be here every week. This season is 52 episodes, so one for every week. We're just going to sit Little Miss Muffet on our tuffets and share love. So this is one of the ways that I'm putting art and love into the world for the people who will listen. We've been getting up to like 300 views in these various channels. So that's 300 people that are kind of soaking in this love vibration. 5 watching live. That's chill. how do you see your art not shrinking and diminishing, but expanding in this as Stacia would say, emotional season, energetic season?
Energetic season, energetic season. I love it. Yeah. So not being married to one specific lane, or not being, the way that I like to put it is not being attached to the outcome. So for me, I wrote this as play, and I know it's going to be on stages when you were able to do that again. But understanding that it is absolutely okay to present it in other ways. I am not the biggest fan of the Zoom reading, but I am okay with perhaps lending scenes to different people. Like I said, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. So I recently reached out with a collective in Cincinnati who would like to do scenes of it. And I'm like, absolutely. I want to support the artists in my town and give them work, specifically Black people. It's an all Black, it's for Black people. It's an all Black cast, and give them work that resonates with them. So I'm looking forward to working with more people than I ever would have been able to work with if this was going in the way that I thought it would have gone. And then myself, I have many loves, many passions, many things that I was working on before COVID and that I'm going to continue working on afterwards. So this is a beautiful time for me to continue writing more plays, but also to get back to myself, really, and to sing a little bit here and there, to learn how to play this guitar I got in my room, like to do more creative direction. You know, if you go on the Instagram, she's giving looks, like to do that more.
She's giving all the looks. Can we talk for a second about like how you I have a weird relationship with social media. I'm trying not to get dragged under by it. For people that are watching right now, if you want to get tripped out a little bit, but also see the ways in which social media can kind of be used as a tool against us. Right now on Netflix, I'm gonna push you into another. I'm gonna talk shit about one algorithm by pushing you into another one called Netflix. But there's a documentary that I can't shut up about called The Social Dilemma, and it talks about how anything you're using for free in the digital space means that you're the product, and they're using you to sell your attention to the highest bidder, and they're making money off of you, and sometimes it's not in savory ways.
Yeah.
What I love about what you're doing, Jerrica, is that you're actually using it as a point of celebration. Like when I'm over there on your page, I'm seeing what happened in that photo, that the promo photo for this, where you were.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. So that was birthed from a place of, again, just I have a similar disdain for social media. And I had actually been talking to my therapist for weeks about just getting back on social media. I did not want to. And she was like, my good sis, you have too many things that you need to share with the world. And you never know who you're going to encourage by what you post, or you never know who you're going to inspire by what you post, and vice versa. You never know what you're going to see that might bless you or inspire you. So let's get past all the reasons you don't really want to be there, and like use it with intention and purpose. So yes, I decided, I can come back. And then I was just hanging out with a close friend, and honestly, he had given me notes on my play, and I said, note taken. But I just wanted to have a moment to document how I was feeling. And we went on the roof, and I had a vision for just being free and showing what it means to be free, even if something that crushes your soul a bit, like getting some notes on your work.
These were unsavory notes. These were like things that you didn't want to hear.
No, they were absolutely things that I want to hear, because I'm always trying to grow. But I was very happy with this draft, and there was like, and we can keep working. And I said, wow, good thing is I plan on keep working. I plan to keep working, so it's okay. But
Yeah. Lucky for you, I'm not a
lucky for
quitter.
you, I will actually be working on it for the next 8 weeks. But
Lucky for you. I love it. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anyway.
Because that's how I feel about my singing. It's like, lucky for you, I'm gonna sing to you. Lucky for you. Like, who cares if everyone's like, shut up? You know, like, lucky for you. Yeah. You gotta love yourself that much, right?
Yeah. So
David says we feel that. We feel that.
Okay. So the caption for the post is Still I Rise, obviously by the beautiful Maya Angelou. And I that's just how I felt in that moment. And it was so encompassing of how I felt this entire season and really this entire year. Child, have you ever had those moments when you sit back like, wait a second? It's not just like this past month that was hard. It was actually all of the months. Like there have been many, moments of joy
The whole
as we
summer,
talked about, but
the whole summer got swept away.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like for a bunch of us, we started this in March.
Yeah.
And you're saying that that is a testament to our strength, or the fact, or are you saying that we're going to all crack and self-destruct and strip naked and roll in the streets like day after tomorrow? What are you saying?
No, I'm saying it's a testament to our strength. It's a testament to our strength that we can find the beauty, that we can find the liberation, the freedom, the ability to soar like a phoenix, no matter how hot those ashes still are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite ancestor? I've been really entertained. I'll give you a moment. I'll riff on this a little moment while you think about it. We do a program here at Love City Arts called "Won't You Be My Neighbor." We've got a couple awesome people who attend. Watching right now. Shout out to David Kwong Pham, another wonderful playwright, and Stacia, a fabulous writer and thought leader in environmental justice work. They attend the Thursday gathering, and in the recent couple of weeks, we've been really centering part of our discussion around what it means to have ancestors. And specifically when we have them, or if we find them, or if they find us, which is another part of this conversation we're about to step into. When we find our ancestors or our ancestors find us, what do they say? The reason why I got here is because you pulled over and you put the blinkers on, whether you knew it or not, and you start talking about our beloved Dr. Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, oh, another ancestor, someone who's not here, who reminds us of who we are as a people. Who would be some or one of an ancestor, known or unknown, dead or alive, that you commune with on the regular?
Ooh, okay. Well, I cannot say that I commune with this person on the regular, but the person who immediately jumped to my mind and my heart, his name is Siddiqui Fofana. He passed away, I want to say maybe 3 years ago. He's an actor here in New York. And
could you drop that spelling on us, and then viewers chime in and let me know who your ancestors are and what they're saying to you, if you think about it. Yeah, this concept of ancestral communication, for those of you who are able to go out to the leading edge tonight, in the good report. Siddiqui.
Yes. So it's Sidiki, and then Fofana, Fofana. And I came across Siddiqui as he was performing in James Imes' Kill Move Paradise at National Black Theater. And that was a show that changed my life. It's my favorite show that I've ever seen at National Black Theater, which is a magical, beautiful place. I love them. But that show changed my life. And at the time I was writing for a publication called Broadway Black. So I was there to review the show. And I was just so struck by his performance in it. And maybe a couple months later, I saw a lot of different Facebook posts going around and a couple of email chains talking about how he was sick and asking, can you donate and pray for him? And he ended up passing. And when he passed, I remember there were just beautiful videos put up of just like candid interviews or maybe a project that he was working on where he was just talking about his inspirations and why he chose to be an artist and specifically an actor. And I think it's a little bit because I was so moved by that play, but I'm just grateful that I got to see his light. That's what stuck out to me the most was his light, his drive, his gratitude. He was so grateful to be on this earth. He was so grateful to be able to share stories. And I feel the same way. I'm very grateful to be able to share stories and to give people the space to share stories. So when I feel like I am being intentional and wanting to interact with his energy or just even think about him, what I hear or what I feel in my spirit is to always be grateful for the opportunity that you have. Kind of tying into like social media and what we were talking about earlier, I really felt in my spirit like I was wanting, or I was really anxious about like, okay, I feel like I want to have a great platform to be able to share these stories. And I just heard you are the platform. You already have the platform. You are the person who builds the platform. So yeah, I
You're the
always
person
just
who
hear
builds
be
the
grateful.
platform.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Be
Mm-hmm.
grateful.
Can we take a moment with our viewers and those who will be listening a little later and just settle into a moment of unapologetic gratitude? Not as something to strive for or to reach for, but something to have and to hold right now. Jerrica is telling us that to be grateful is part of the magic that decreases suffering in her life and allows a space of a bit more of expansion. And so I just want to take a moment, since this is the good report, to just carve out a moment of gratitude for the gifts that we have. And maybe the gifts are too big tonight. Maybe you don't have any gifts that come to mind. Maybe it's just you and your breath. And so just centering ourselves in that as the great gift of the moment, the fact that we're able to just breathe together. In this little space that we set aside. Oh man, we got 24 hours in the day. And so we are now setting aside just a minute or two, in not a weird way or a woo woo kind of way, but just carving out a few seconds in time to be grateful. Because as I've said before, there are so many streams and feeds and inboxes that are just pushing that things are falling apart. In a lot of ways, they are, but also at the same time, there are wonderful things happening. And we gather intentionally on Wednesday night to share in space with friends for those things. The idea that because we have the tools, we have the capacity to incite change because we have the tools. All of us who are watching this and sharing with each other right now in this space, and the countless others that will share in it after, we've got access to these wonderful communication tools: Google Docs, Adobe Acrobat, Twitter, Facebook, all of these things that people are monetizing and using for ill intent. We have an opportunity, as Jerrica said earlier, to be in the spaces being our own version of light. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. What are you grateful for in the comments? We won't be here for very long. This is how we land the plane, Jerrica. What are you grateful for? What's coming up for you?
For me, yeah, for life. I know that sometimes seems like the obvious answer, but truly for life, it's not promised. So I'm grateful every single day that I'm here and try to make it as much of a habit as I can to just ask, what is my assignment today? Like how can I use this day in the way that I'm meant to? So I'm grateful for life. I'm immensely grateful for family, the friends that become family, the strangers that become family. I said community is everything, so I'll use community if that is a word that might resonate more with some other people. But those things for sure. The ability to create. I think sometimes I spend a lot of my life wishing that I could just do something that was more straightforward. But I think God has chosen to be a creator, to be an artist. Yeah. And to bring healing into the world through that. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the Good Report tonight. I,
Absolutely. Thank you
I,
for having me.
I think you're wonderful. We're gonna breathe together, do one more round of breathing on our way out of here. Just to anchor our week. I want to thank everybody who's been watching for the last hour or so. This space exists to kind of like focus our energy on the good that's happening in the world.
Yeah.
You can pick up your phone now and get how everything is falling the fuck apart. But we intentionally gather in this space on Wednesdays to hold a candle and a moment of remembrance for what is uplifting
Yeah.
and what is good in the world. And Jerrica, you are what is good in the world.
Andre,
You
you
are.
are what is good in the world too, my friend.
What about you? Thank you for saying that to me out loud. And you know as well as I know that there's a lot of information and a lot of feedback that would try to make you believe that you're not enough
Mm,
or that there's more to do.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you are good in the world.
I received that.
You're good in the world. So, on that, everybody who's here, we're going to focus on 11 minutes past the top of the hour, 11 minutes that we can never get back. We breathe in and we breathe out on the good that we wish to bring in the world, a little moment at a time. We know we can't fix all the fuck shit overnight, but we just dedicate ourselves to just putting a little more good in the world day
Yeah.
by day by day. That's what I seek to inspire in our listeners and viewers and followers and tribe. None of this is about a need for fame and clout, but it's all anchored in making sure that we survive this dusty motherfucker. Because there's two ways that we can walk through this. We can walk through this in incredible competition and suffering, and I'm better than you. Or we can walk through it as, hey, brother, sister, friend, I see you. I support you. I wish you well in the world. Let's build together. The last thing that I want to share, and then I'll let everyone go, is that I think it's important that we take a responsibility for calling out bad behavior when we see it. And we all have opportunities in our lives to call a thing a thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be very healing as we walk forward over the next weeks, months, years through all of this. It's very important that people who are good, like everyone who's watching now and that'll listen later, and like yourself, Jerrica, it's important that when we see things like what's happening at the ICE detention centers, the illegal detention centers, and when we see the bloodshed of Black and brown bodies, that we don't just turn away and that we say this is evil.
Yeah.
And that if right now it's at mentions and things like that, it is evil, and that we name the bad behavior. A lot of people, I feel, are afraid to even say that bad behavior is bad behavior. Hey, it's causing harm, it's causing suffering. People are pained by this. I'm allowed. I may not be able to walk to Texas, but I should take it, and it should be incumbent upon me to go, that is evil and wrong, and just say it over and over again until someone pays attention. That's on the good people. That's not on the. We can't be waiting on the bad people to say that. I feel like that's on us, right?
Yeah. I love that challenge and really call to action. Yeah.
So that is the call to action for this week until we meet again next week. I think next week we have Jess Grippo and Jillian coming from You Can Dance Again is Jess Grippo. And then Jillian's part of Minder and Music. We've had lots of beautiful, divine, feminine energy come through here. Most of our viewership and listenership with Love City Arts is mostly ladies or people who identify as women, with a couple bold, compassionate, courageous men in the mix to hold down that masculine energy. But because of that, we have a lot of wonderful. I think you're like the first Black girl magic that we've had.
Speaks in tongues in silence. Yes.
I thank you for your tongues in silence and your tongues in word. You're a gift to the world. Everybody know that I'll be putting Jerrica's contact information, both the .com. Share your contact information with everyone who may want to follow you and see this kick-ass Instagram layout.
Oh, you are too kind. Don't judge too harshly. I am rearranging, but at Overzealous, OVRZLOUS, or overzealous.com, same spelling, or you can email me directly, Jerrica, JERRICA, at Overzealous, OVRZLOUS.com. And I think we alluded to this before, but I am doing this thing where I'm holding space for people to have conversations with me about really anything under the sun. I'm looking at it as kind of either an alternative or introduction to what a therapy session might look like for you. I'm trying to decide if therapy or going down a path of becoming a licensed therapist is something that I am interested in. So if you'd like to sign up for a heart-to-heart, is what I am calling them, either DM me on my Instagram or you can email me directly.
Yeah. And we'll make sure all of your contact information gets on lovecityarts.org. And also, those of you who are watching right now, the moment that we tune off here, you'll see at Overzealous in our show notes for the evening. Jerrica, you are a gift to this world by an extension of the fact that you're here and that you said yes to us. Thank you for
my internet, I think, is acting a little crazy, but if by any chance you can hear me, thank you so much, Andre. You are a gift to the world, and thank you for all that you do with Love City Arts.
Thank you, my friend. It was frozen on you in the most beautiful of ways.
We love to see it.
Just a snapshot of your wonderful soul. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for creating